And we are live to dive in, sláinte and cheers in this St. Patrick's Day weekend. Our first comment of the day comes via Jim Campbell from Campbell's Corner. Says right there, let's GNU this. Fanboy G, welcome over to my side of the screens of the interwebs. You picked up a gem, somewhat of a forgotten legend. Talk to us, pal. What are we going to see today?
We're checking out a different something that's completely different. We're checking out Gary GNU. Yeah.
Now, when
From
somebody
Plastic
says
Meatball.
plastic meatball, so when somebody says Gary GNU, I immediately the triggered response, the call and response. No GNUs is good GNUs with Gary GNU.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
We got another comment from legendary comic relief established character around here, Chai Star G. Thanks for dropping the let's go. All right, so G, where did you first find this plastic meatball company edition release of Gary GNU?
This is from Big Bad Toy Store. You can also buy it from the Plastic Meatball site. Honestly, I had not heard of this company ever before and only started to look into this because of that live stream that we did with Mr. Chris Ryans talking about forgotten 80s television, forgotten 80s cartoon characters specifically. And even though Gary GNU is a puppet, right, or of sorts, there was some animation in the beginning sequence. So yeah, I kind of shoved that one in there.
Chai Star asks, how come GNU is yellow on the package? I'm going to say lighting. I'm going to say he's the same green that he was, but just the way the lighting translated on that, he came out to a yellowish tint.
Yep, yeah. He's a very distinctive green color here. Can you see him? Yeah, you can see him.
Yeah.
So very distinctive green color to the figure. You've got the
highlight. Let's even highlight the figure to full scope.
There you go. There's Gary GNU. And at the top, the Great Space Coaster. And it is meant for ages 14 and up, it says, for adult collectors. On the card, you've got Gary GNU and his tagline. Can you see that? No GNUs is good GNUs, right?
With
Plastic
Gary
meat,
GNU.
right? And then before we get to the accessories on the back, we've got the Great Space Coaster imagery. This is Gary GNU from the No GNUs is Good GNU show, currently seen daily on the Great Space Coaster, the only TV GNUs program guaranteed to contain no GNUs whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so just looking at the cast there, right? This is stuff we haven't revisited. We do a lot of nostalgia around Fanboy Cantina channel and around the Dive In channel. But this is some material we have not covered, but just I can't remember everything about it. There you go. That's a good zoom. That's a good zoom. The characters look familiar. I can't say I remember their personality or their banter or their interaction, but what has stood out across the years of the Great Space Coaster is and are the memories of the character of Gary GNU.
That's right. That's right. I mean, vaguely, I remember some of these characters. It looks like something more from I felt like this at the time. It felt more like the 70s, right? You've got they all have names. I cannot remember it. The clown is Baxter. I think that is right. But with regard to like the elephant, and it's got the tie-dye thing happening and flour in the middle of his stomach and whatever's going on there, it feels kind of 70s or 60s ish for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. There's without question some theme and some presentation, some stylistic matchup to your HR Puff and stuff, obviously to Muppets and Sesame Street and some other things. When we flip over later to the IMDb screen on the share screen, we can see what IMDb considers to be similar territory to the Great Space Coaster show. But before we get to all that, let's look at the actual figure a little bit more. If you're ready to flip the package, what an accessory kit! What I mean, where do you want to go? Do you want to go on his fashion sense first, on his accessories first? Which way do we want to start to break this all down?
Well, let's start with the figure itself. Who do you think Gary Gnu is meant to look like? Who do you think this is inspired by?
See, that's a good question. So, like the white streaks off the side of the hair, the
Mhm.
turtleneck and suit stylings. I don't have a direct answer for that, but it's just he definitely looks like he's of that time when the fashion sense was translating from the late 70s to the early 80s. I mean, the suit color and the turtleneck color are impeccable, but as far as a character, a real life character or a person who is somewhat influential, somewhat the basis of this character, who do you have to identify?
I think looking at the picture on the right-hand side, I think it's meant to look like TV host Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett was a big uh, TV personality, television host personality. And I do remember he used to wear a more casual suit coat along with a turtleneck, which I think is what we have here with Gary Gnu. Now, I did think because you and I were texting before we jumped on here, I did think with the shoes are interesting. I don't remember ever seeing Gary Gnu below the top of his jacket, right?
Because he's at
Right.
his news desk.
Yeah. But he's got. Oh, I'm a little bit fuzzy here, but oh my goodness, I've tipped him over. I've tipped over. Everything's okay.
And you're back.
Now we're back. But I think it's like gym shoes that he's got, Chuck Taylors.
I would say yes. So you have a suit, a turtleneck, and Chuck Taylors, and a fedora. He's having a very distinct fashion sense here. I mean, he wasn't an earlier childhood kind of, and by earlier, let me say more specifically, he wasn't a preschool Sesame Street electric company target audience kind of a guy. That isn't to say he wouldn't appeal to those, but he definitely had his witticisms, his comedic styling definitely appealed to the older youngster as well.
That's right. That's right. I do really like the color of the action figure. I mean, it looks like Gary Gnu all the way around. It looks like Gary Gnu. You look at this figure, it looks like him. There may be some specificity that I did not necessarily remember, like his Gordon Gecko kind of hair. For that matter, I kind of got that kind of haircut going right now, but I didn't remember his hair so much. But it looks expertly done. Yeah. And what is that? I think you've got. Oh, it's a little pixelated here, so I'm going to stop moving it around. I'm going to let it sit for a moment.
Let's let it sit.
Um,
While we're letting it sit, let's catch up on comments. So
yeah.
Campbell says, as we can still see whether it's pixelated or not, the fedora. Campbell says, never saw him wear a fedora. Very smooth. I do not recall him wearing the fedora either, but what a great fashion sense. Chai Star comes back with, he's a straight up playa with his wardrobe. Was this the WFLD channel program? I can't say 100%, but I'm like 95% sure because Great Space Coaster preceded, like for local to the Chicago market, the existence of your channel 60 or your channel 50. So it had to be, as Chai Star is saying, it had to be channel 32.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's Channel 32 in Chicago. I'm very curious. Was this a nationally syndicated program? I think it was, but was it in all markets? Okay. Uh, Jim Campbell writes, I remember him in St. Louis. Okay. Yeah.
Man, oh man. All right, so I think the pixelation's kind of mostly resolved itself there. So if we can see just under the fedora is
Yep.
like the handheld mic for a newscaster to readers. We all do the handheld mic. then it looks like there's the news. So again, this is a time before teleprompters. So
Mhm.
what does the news guy have is actual paper to read off the actual news.
Well, in this case, sheets of no GNUs. It's kind of bizarre, right? Well, I mean, even in the picture, you can see he's carrying paper. So it's not GNUs on the papers, but yes, he is prepared. He is ready.
Right, but the prop quality is top flight impressive to me.
Yep,
Top, and then also on his lapel, there's the whatever the lapel attached mic. So this
that's
guy's
right.
he's mic'd up from his jacket, he's mic'd up from his handheld. He's absolutely fully prepped and ready to go.
He is ready to go. Absolutely. Okay. Well, can we open this, Mr. C?
Do you want to open them straight away on the camera, or do you want me to have some other images during the actual unboxing? Which way do you
Maybe talk amongst yourselves while I unbox the
So while
figure.
the actual unboxing is going, let me come around. Here is the puppeteer, the creative force, the man behind the scenes. As you can see, and this is just pulling the image from Wikipedia. Says right there from the New York Comic Con from 2010. So this is about a 15-year-old picture. So Jim Martin and all of us will look 15 years older from photos of 2010. But again, not familiar with Space Coaster in general these days. It's a revisiting. Jim Martin is definitely contributing to a lot of Sesame Street material, a lot of puppeteering stuff. He's got whoa the excitement, the sounds of the opening.
Yeah.
So just we'll flip into IMDb as we said in a little bit and highlight some of his stuff. Let me come around again and see if I can. Well, okay, I'll save that stuff for later. Oh, here, okay, so he's out of the box. Let me return us to here. Let me get Gary. Oh, no, let's get the guy big. Let's highlight him proper. There he is. Man,
I mean, that's really great, huh? It's a let me lower the lighting so he's not as washed out. But yeah, I this is impressive considering this is not Super 7, this is not Hasbro, this is not uh and pick other major it's not NECA, it's Plastic Meatball, a brand that I have never heard of before. And this looks great. It's a good quality action figure. Here he is holding his microphone. And then as the other accessories go along with it, we have his no GNUs. And there's the faint print on it. You can
that's excellent.
can't really I don't think it's legible. I don't think it's legible.
So they're not individual sheets, but it's as though it's stacked into one plastic piece unit. Okay.
That
Great.
is right. That is right. But on his hat,
Oh, the press pass.
well, it says no GNUs. So it's on his hat. No GNUs. Can't really see it.
We said it before. We'll say it again. The level of detail is what really makes a thing a thing. Okay, go ahead. Let's see the head on him. Hey, fashion played Gary GNU with the no GNUs. Jim Campbell has to say, I remember Gary was at C2E2 Chicago many years ago. So, hey, we're entering C2E2 season again. Maybe we'll have to check the roster. Is Jim Martin available? Campbell could not locate him at that time. Cosplay as Gary GNU. Now, come on. This is no flim flam suit here, guy. This would be a way expensive suit to replicate. It is definitely a great figure. I like now that the packaging is the backdrop. He's looking like he's at the top of it. There you go. The full cast. Do you have other observations? Did you want to try his movement? Do you want to see how
Oh yeah. Let's see.
articulate?
Let's see how well the figure moves. And yeah, I mean, you've got 5 points of articulation. That's all you got. Not a lot of movement, but yeah, the arms are good. The head turns. Yeah, this is. I mean, to the extent that 5 points of articulation counts as articulation, yeah, it's a posable figure. It's good. It's really good.
we haven't commented on his goatee yet, but that was absolutely part of his persona. You know, that
Yeah.
goatee is definitely a defining piece of his whole facial presentation. He's well combed, he's well groomed, he's do the voice. You mean the Gary Gnu voice? No, Ganoush. I don't even know if I'm getting the voice accurate. It's good. I'm doing Sean Connery as Gary Gnu. No, Ganoush. It's good Ganoush. Gary Ganoush.
Yeah, this is good. This is really good. This is really, in the hands of a different sculptor or somebody who is just trying to do it on the cheap, there were plenty of ways to like cut corners, do it differently. But here, that's a good sculpt of somebody in a suit. You've got the folds in the jacket, you've got the folds in the pants. It's a level of detail that you didn't need to necessarily have for a figure just like this.
Now we didn't prep for this. This is a spontaneous question. This is probably a save it for next time around. Do you happen to have any other comparable size characters right at the station there, such as a mini Svengoolie or anybody else?
It's funny. I just put away the Svengoolie. Unfortunately, I don't. I'm looking around. I do not have one handy. I've got a GI Joe classified figure that will not be helpful. But
We'll
yeah,
save it for a future mashup
there
crossover.
you go.
All right, let's get that style and fedora back on him.
Well,
Don't
yeah.
see a soul patch. There you go. You could true.
Ah,
Technically, a goatee would include the mustache. So Chai Star is speaking more accurately. Don't see many figures with the soul patch, and of that puppeteering. Well, okay, the Muppets had many characters, many supporting characters. I can't say that there wasn't a proper Muppet from the Henson Studios who did not have a soul patch. I can't say that one way or the other, but absolutely Gary Gnu representing. Will there be other Coast figures? Nothing that has been released that I know of at this time, but that is the perfect prompt to let's jump into the Plastic Meatball website so we can see the interesting configuration of some long forgotten characters that they have. Let me come back to where I can see. Well, here, let me navigate and then I'll trust you to be my eyes, fanboy. So, totally different era. But you get your View Askew, Bluntman, and Chronic pre-sale at the same. Time Bandits. Good God.
nice.
Talk about the deep cuts. Here's a Flash Gordon series. I should have scrolled down further. Labyrinth. Look at this. Talk about an untapped. Absolutely an untapped. Oh, then they have Halloween figure. I should have scrolled down further before we got going. So I'll come back to those.
All right.
But noteworthy, related to the puppeteering business, you got your Emmett Otter characters. So you got Ma Otter, Alice Otter, and Emmett Otter. They're at a different price point compared to your Gary Gnu. But this is a great discovery to find this Plastic Meatball manufacturer, to find this outfit when they're generating all. Gee, your thoughts on their running the table on lesser known properties here?
It's a little bit random. It's quite random, right? To have the Jim Henson franchise, and that one specifically is a little bit different with Emmett Otter. As you know, I really love that show. I watch it whenever I can. It might not be a once a year thing, but I do try to check it out, and I still love that show. Love that show. Time Bandits, I remember being disappointed by. Like, it was a big thing, absolutely big thing when it came out. Very hyped. I didn't really love it that much.
But I'm willing to revisit it because, again, as a grown person, I have a different perspective from
Sure.
if we were 10 or 11 when we saw it. Maybe maybe a bit of it was more heady or more philosophical or more, again, maybe it would remain largely obscure. But man, just the fact that somebody's making Time Bandit stuff, as well as a Flash Gordon drink set, as well as a Labyrinth set, as well as some Halloween characters, as well as Kellogg's cereal mascots. When you put it all together, it's really interesting. Man, they're deeper in their inventory than I realized. Flash
Yeah.
Gordon stuff coming soon. Man, oh man. So this is again Plastic Meatball. So people can feel free to check out the Plastic Meatball business. I'm going to stop sharing on the Plastic Meatball business right now, and let me reconfigure again. There we go.
So it doesn't look like there will be other Great Space Coaster figures, or at least they're not posted on the site. The figures, I feel, are different heights and sizes. So if you were to make life complicated on yourself, would you have like Baxter be larger, and then you'd have, I feel bad that I don't remember, I should have studied that the elephant thing, would it be like 6 inches big or something? It might be a little more trouble than it's worth. The Gary Gnu figure, for me, it just addresses my fond memories of the show.
Chai-Star is agreeing not to scale.
Yeah.
Campbell is coming with, as we always get a good question out of Jim Campbell, who's the director of Time Bandits. I think it was one of the Monty Python guys, but I'd have to divert.
You are correct. It's Terry Gilliam.
There
Terry
we go.
Gilliam.
There we go. We didn't need to look it up. You knew it under yourself. That's a dynamite thing. All right.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Terry Gilliam, and stars David Rappaport, Sean Connery, John Cleese, Shelley Duvall, Ralph Richardson, Catherine Hellman, Ian Holm, Michael Palin, Peter Vaughn, and David Warner. I apparently remember nothing of this movie.
Except that it didn't land. So
Except that it didn't land. I have the comic books. I think there was a 4-issue comic book, Marvel comic book run.
wow.
Still not great. It's just, you got a movie that didn't quite resonate for me, but now it's in comic book form, but I have it somewhere.
Relatively in the same era where Marvel did a 3-part miniseries for Dark Crystal. They did a miniseries for Indiana Jones. So this was definitely of that era. Let's go to Chai-Star again. Would
Oh man,
that clown figure be canceled today?
it's a happy clown. It's Baxter. He's happy. He's just happy. Although, honestly, I never liked Baxter. His eyes are sunken into his head. It's kind of unsettling. Baxter, unsettling. Don't like clowns. Don't like mushroom people who have been turned into mushrooms and Matango. Don't like that. Yeah.
Consistent you are. Consistent you are. All right. So let's take a look at the IMDb entry. So this is again such a obscure or time lost thing where it's listing, 1 episode or 2 episodes instead of a full, season by season, episode by episode. But the human characters were there. I'm not sure about getting the pronunciations right on the names. Emily Bittinger, Ray Stevens, and John Lovelady was the elephant there, and Chris Gifford.
Mhm.
So the 3 humans were Emily, Chris, and Ray. So to me, it was a good 3 human co-host situation. It reminded me a bit of the New Zoo review, which was also of that same kind of era. But anyway, just the other characters and stuff. And so again, as I mentioned, so what does IMDb consider similar? You got your Puffin stuff. Banana Splits I had not mentioned before. So that's absolutely puppetry and costume suits and all kinds of stuff. Okay, just a quick cap on the storyline. As it says, a trio of human singers are brought to a habitable asteroid by the Coasterville, by the space coaster roller coaster like ship. The asteroid is populated by strange-looking wisecracking. By design, they were wisecracking. They weren't only for the younger set. They were working at your preteen or your early teen viewers. Also, regular pilot was Baxter the Clown. He's on the run from his former employer, the villainous circus ringmaster, M.T. Promises. Maybe that explains Baxter's eyes are a little bugged out because he's a man on the run. He's a clown fugitive. See, this is some high concept stuff here. This is a little bit unique in its creativity, but that's really cool to get all this together. And I guess definitely people have commented on their memories of it. Let me come one more to check out the man behind Gary Gnu and come into his share screen. Let me, oh, if I can flip right here, that was Letterman, Jim Martin. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. And again, the Jim Martin photo. And if I can flip back over here, right, his filmography, again, just the very basic IMDb and a whole lot of stuff. Elmo supporting cast voice, Sesame Street, a variety of voices. So, hey, cool to learn about Jim Martin puppeteer today along the way with checking out this really cool Gary Gnu figure. Let's check comments for did Baxter's mouth move? I can't, I think so. But again, in a Big Bird like way, you had to, now that would be some good backstory as to see how do they put all that together. If unless my memory's bad from just an hour ago, the MT Promises character was also Jim Martin, so he's probably inside the suit there, and then coming out later to do the hand puppetry for Gary Gnu. I thought the way he talked was creepy as all that Chai-Star can remember.
Yeah, I don't remember any part of that. I don't remember any part of that. I do need to. Before this, I did watch a Gary Gnu segment. I didn't watch the rest of the show. Yeah, I think there's a space for a show like that again. You know, you turn on the ABC or NBC or CBS, shows on Saturday morning. I don't think you get any cartoons anymore. They tend to be live action, stuff. I'm blanking on names, but it's wildlife stuff. Or there's a Ginger Z and some guy, looking at weather related stuff or first responders, which is fine. But it's not that. It doesn't have that. What's the word? Whimsy or imagination or just general kind of kid friendliness that we had back in the day. So I think there's something that could be, it could be really great to have a more kids oriented show that also includes live action, also includes, some clips of, they would show animals or other stuff on the Gary Gnu show. There's a space for this.
Especially when you can land a top flight segment guest, such as your Mark Hamill. This is not too far after Mark Hamill's appearance on the Muppets. And so I just, again, scrambling around to check out different resources. So he wasn't a full, bit to bit, segment to segment. It looks like this was his only one segment appearance on the show. But again, feather to the cap of the production team that they could land Mark Hamill, especially how busy was Mark Hamill at that time in 80. So what year did Empire come out? 80?
I think 80, yeah.
Probably just in the in the wave of just after Empire came together. So he was much in demand at the time. Good that he landed that. Let's wrap up with a couple other comments, and then we'll start to close out. I'm going to see a video of Baxter. You go, man, and then we'll turn that in. Baxter's mouth confirmed. Right. Baxter's mouth does move. That's good to know. My friend, my co-host, any other future stuff coming up on the Fanboy Cantina channel that we should address before we close out here?
Well, off to the side, I'm looking at the Tomy diecast DeLorean that I've been meaning to open up. So that is a thing. I am also planning to do a video. I don't know if it's interesting for other people, but it's interesting for me, about 1/12 accessories that you can get at Daiso, which is a chain store, kind of a discount chain store. I think they're opening in the Chicago area finally. Maybe it's already open. So want to do that. And maybe some just, low-key unboxing, just talking and checking out toys. I want to do more podcasty kind of things, I think that would be fun to do.
Speaking of more podcasty kind of things, as we were discussing, we're not sure what to the perpetual question from Chai-Star, when is the next live stream? Well, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, but we're trying to have a quicker turnaround time from the release of Daredevil to our actual reviews of Daredevil. So it is our goal to be on a school night show for Daredevil, and we'll see if the other demands of real life allow that to be, or if we'll be back real soon on the weekend with the Daredevil. For me, coming up, since we're on a Sunday right here, the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day, coming up next Saturday, featured on Svengoolie will be the original Creature of the Black Lagoon. So I plan to show my creature collection for, there's other greater and vaster collections out there, but I'm going to highlight my pieces and my enjoyment of the character coming up. Oh, Michaela has just jumped in. Michaela, we're talking about stuff that's from before your time of the Great Space Coaster, but feel free to YouTube around and see what entertainment factor they had. And definitely we'll be catching up with Michaela again real soon also.
This was great. This is the first time, or at least the first time that I can remember of doing this separate camera moderately successfully.
Yeah.
The second part is the bigger thing. I know we've tried it before. I'm still hearing a little bit of audio, I think, kind of funkiness, but this worked out okay. Except for the wonders of Xfinity and Comcast in my place. Yeah, it seemed to work out okay. Maybe we'll try this again.
We're well, in the wider definition of Boomer, every Boomer live stream is a live stream that we do. Good evening, Michaela. And yeah, it's been a long minute since, and I really like for whichever items that we're showing, if it's an art piece, if it's a figure, if it's a Mego figure, if it's a plastic meatball figure, I'm glad we were able to reintroduce this format for the show.
Yeah,
all right.
You've done it better than me, but yes, this is a first.
I've also done it where the echoing is make me scratch it before the actual going live. So there's that too.
Awesome.
All right, this has been a presentation of Gary Gnu from the Plastic Meatball Studios. Gee, take us out. Is there any good news, or is there no?
There's no good news. There's no good news.
No good news is good news on the Fanboy Cantina and in the Mr. C Dives In. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We'll be back again soon, and we are out.